Welcome to Just the Good Bits. Today we're making Southern biscuits and sausage gravy. We're going to start out with the Southern biscuits, and this is not our original Southern biscuit recipe. We have a link below for that, and I wanted to say a shout out to Jason Smith for a great comment on that video. He got 23 thumbs up. Check it out. Maybe you'll give him a thumbs up too. And if you leave a comment, maybe we'll give you a shout out as well. Okay, let's start with our dry ingredients. We have 2 cups of all-purpose flour in our sifter. We have 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, iodized salt, plain salt. And we're going to sift these. Get them incorporated good. See those chunks? That's what we want to get out. Okay, and you can mash these through if you want. You don't want them whole going through there. Now, another update, I'm going to do this a little different. I'm going to use my food processor to cut my butter in. I'm going to grate my butter, put my flour in there first though. So here, I'll put the flour in first. Get it all in there. I'm going to add our grater in this. And then we're going to put our butter in there. Now, this is the deviation from the other recipe. We're using the butter 1/3 of a cup. Hear that? It's frozen. That's why we're using this to grate it. That'll help us with a cold dough to get a higher rise than we had before. Now we got most of it grated real good. A little bit there, let me get that off. We're going to take our teaspoon and get the rest of this off. Now there's a little bit of a chunk here, but that's not too bad. We want to make sure we get all of our butter is the main thing. Most of it's grated real fine, it's going to be incorporated good. Okay, because all I did is get the butter off the best I could. We're going to take this off nets too. Push some of this butter down. We're going to put the mixing blade back in here. Don't want to warm up the butter any more than I have to. Now we're going to move this out and put the blade in. Now you get the blade in there, line it up, and you're going to need to turn it a little bit until it gets in. Once it get it locked on, you can put the lid on, and the blade will drop with gravity. And we're going to pulse this to mix this. Now we're going to scrape some of the butter off the side here, get it back down in there. Camera lady got a comment?
Yeah, I was just saying that stained the white on that blade, the handle. This is 20 years old. So
it's like a Timex, so in case you look at it, keeps on ticking.
Keeps on ticking. What replace what ain't fixed?
Now, we got our cornmeal effect. I hope you can see that there. Now we need to add our buttermilk and I'm gonna, don't want to, it's not a dough yet. We don't want to overwork the dough, so we're gonna put that in a bowl and work it in, and I'll be right back set up for that. Now I did all that without overworking the dough because it wasn't dough yet. I like to use a fork instead of my hand right away. I'll work my hand in there after I get this started. Everybody has their own way. Some people start off with a hand and it comes out great. List of ingredients will be down below in the description. Now that was the called for 2/3 of a cup of milk. Your actual liquid volume that you're going to need to pull this together is going to depend on your sea level, humidity, and other aspects. We're in South Carolina in the low country. It's not even coming together with that much, so we need to add a little more. And we're going to drizzle a little in at a time until we get it right. Our humidity is also very high here.
That's a fact.
We're starting to get clumps, but we don't have, it's not coming together yet, so I need more yet. Now it's starting to come together. I'm going to have to get my hand in there and see if we can pull it together.
As Julia Child says, impeccably clean hands. Or I should say always said.
As you can see, almost, but it's very crumbly and falls apart. It's still not there.
Tiny, tiny. Preheat the oven.
And that beep, 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 beep means our oven is preheated to 400 degrees. You like my little biscuit cutter, cookie cutter? There'll be a link for that down below. We got that at Amazon. I really like that. Now I want to get this a little bit of flour before we start cutting. While we're waiting for the preheat, those four, we're going to put in the fridge because we're going to bake those off. And then we're going to cut some more and we're going to tell you what we're going to do with those. Now, we're going to continue cutting as if we're going to bake them all off. And we're going to set these on a pan, just like we did the other ones. And these are actually going to be frozen. These, you can freeze your own biscuit dough in the form of biscuits, and they'll be just as good. And then you have your own frozen biscuit dough.
Not dough, biscuits.
Well, there won't be biscuits till you bake them, right? It's still technically dough.
Well, then you just put them in the but you cook them at 350, not 400, because they have to thaw.
I'll Cheeto this one.
They're going to be frozen, so the butter's going to be really cold. Don't overwork it.
Okay, and we'll be back. We got flour on this.
Alright, in my pan, I have about 1/3 of a pound of sausage. And this is my husband's Italian sausage. And I also have a couple of ounces of rashers of bacon because we had some picnics, so picnic hams, which don't make really good ham, so he used it in his sausage. So it came out to be a leaner sausage. Needed to add more fat to it. We didn't have it, so it's delicious. So I'm just cooking this down. And it's very close to being done. Should be hot. Now I'm going to add, this is a 1/4 cup, 4 tablespoons of flour. And you want to cook your flour. If you don't have that little bit of fat in there, it's just going to burn. And it's okay at this point if you got onions that you cooked, you can leave them in your pan just like I've left this bacon. It's totally fine. And I will tell you how dark you get your flour. The darker you have your flour, the browner your gravy. And that's all there is to it. And of course, it's usually milk gravy. Sausage gravy is traditionally milk gravy. But I don't see any reason you can't use water. If you don't, because if you're doing a chicken gravy or whatever from chicken stock that you fried chicken in, you use water, you don't use milk. And the key, now normally I would have this milk very hot. I would have put it on the stove, but I forgot. It'll work like this. It's just quicker if your liquid is already hot. It won't have to come to temperature. And you don't leave gravy. You stay right there with it. I'm going to turn this up. Generally, you want to cook it at a higher heat. If you don't feel confident to cook it on high, well, do medium high. But the longer you, the higher you have it, the quicker it's going to cook. And that's just there. As you can turn it down once you get it as thick as you want it. And see, that's just a really thick paste. And once it gets thick like that, you just keep continuing to add some milk. Now, like I said, this has got to come back up to temperature because it's come straight from the refrigerator. If you have your milk heated, it would have. It just is 1, 2, 3. It's really quick. I boiled some water in my kettle. And then, remember, oh, that's right. This is a milk gravy. Alright, so just waiting for it to come back up to temperature. Now, at this point, once you cook your flour for, say, 5 minutes, you're not going to have a flour taste. The flour is cooked. You want to make sure your flour is cooked and it's well cooked. And you see, this is pretty thick. So this is, at this point, how thick do you want your gravy? If that's too thick for you, you can add some more milk. Now, I wouldn't add more than a half a cup at a time, especially at this point. But you never want to overload your pan when you're making gravy. I would stick to a half a cup every time, or thereabouts. You don't have to watch it. Honey, come and tell me if this is how you like your gravy. Is it too thick, too thin? You want it thinner? Before I turn this off.
That's perfect.
That's where we're going to stop. In goes the sausage.
Did you want me to crumble some biscuits in there so you could finish that?
You don't crumble. You put it.
Whatever, break it up.
No, see, I like it. I like it thinner than that. That's too thick.
Make it thinner. You added sausage, change the whole thing.
It's too thick. I'm gonna put some more. But see, anything you can always add. And if you happen to get it too thin, accidentally put in too much milk, just let it cook a little bit. It will thin out. I mean, it will thicken. You can, however, go over and put too much where the flour no longer will thicken it. It's just got too much water, or in this case, milk. But to make any kind of gravy, this is the exact same, except for use cold. Heat up your milk, heat up your water. But this is, you make any kind of gravy in this same way. You just put a little bit until you get it to your desired thickness. If it's boiling, if your liquid is boiling, you can see this would be very fast. You can make your gravy in 15 minutes once your pan's heated. This is going to be the last bit. So it is too thick to me. So all right. I think we'll leave it at that. And that, my friends, is how you make sausage gravy. And as you can see, I'm going to just put it over the biscuits. And let my husband do a taste. And I didn't salt it or pepper it, and I should have done both. So you salt and pepper yours. But the technique is the same. Here, baby.
There was a spoon somewhere. It was in the bowl.
I don't know where it went. All right, take a taste. Probably need salt and some pepper.
Well, salt and pepper would depend on your sausage. That's grand, just the way it is.
Well, that's true, too. I'm glad I didn't add anything. Oh.
Camera lady gets a taste, too. You have to take my word for it.
Oh, that is good. Mm-hmm. All right.
Excuse me, I'm a little hungry. See you later.